A very good evening and welcome to the Metropol Sports Center, the first of its kind to occupy the primetime segment in Kenya. Here we're all about money and sports. We're all about the business of sports. And just to tell you some of the things we'll be talking about today, we'll be talking about the Champions League, we'll be talking about rugby, Caster Semenya, Tiger Woods, NBA playoffs. We have a very hot interview, among other things, in the world of sports and business. But first, my name is Ngaro Kamuya.
And I'm Sharon Alela.
And Sharon, we get straight and thick into the things of sports.
All right.
The first topic, of course, is the UEFA Champions League or European football. This week has been a very entertaining week when it comes to football. We had the Champions League that happened on Tuesday and Wednesday. So the first game on Tuesday, Liverpool host Barcelona at the Anfield Electric Stadium. The Cup, of course, we expect it to be as electric as it's always been in Europe. And the score ends 4-0. Of course, meaning that Liverpool proceed to the finals. Goals by Divock Origi, who I must add, of course, his father is a former Harambee Stars, Michael Koth, who relocated to Belgium, and I guess that's why Divock Origi plays for Belgium. It's unfortunate. And the other two goals scored by Jorginho Wijnaldum. What do you have to say about that game? Was it what you expected?
This week was, like you said, the most exciting football week we've had. Yeah. And the Champions League and the Europa League, yeah, and all English teams finals affair. Yeah. The comebacks, we have different conversations about which comeback was better. Yeah. But the word of the week, yes, in football is comeback. Exactly. I mean, the English teams did good. Yeah. I felt a little bit. I felt some pity for Ajax for the kind of football they've been playing, yeah, and they've been a favorite for the finals for a lot of people. But of course, Wanyama is in Spurs, and as a Kenyan, you could only wish them well into the finals.
And it's good to say like that because he's the second Kenyan to play in a Champions League final. Of course, the first person being his elder brother, McDonald Mariga, when he played for Inter Milan in 2010, right? Yeah.
But I'm not really sure he's going to play in the finals, though. But that's it's what we're looking forward to, yeah, is Origi versus Wanyama in the end. But we also have to talk about people not expecting the two English teams to be at the finals, and this says a lot about the English Premier League, which we'll talk about especially during your interview. Yeah. But it was an adrenaline-filled Champions League week, and we couldn't ask for better.
What about the Europa League? We had Valencia lose, of course, to Arsenal 4-2, and Arsenal moving on to the final. Then we had Chelsea taking on Eintracht Frankfurt and drawing 1-1, and of course beating Eintracht Frankfurt 4-3 in the penalty shootout. Again, an all-English final that's going to be in Azerbaijan. What do you have to say about that?
For me, it's Aubameyang. Let's start from there. Yes. That was a spectacular performance. For Chelsea, they did well for themselves, but I feel like there's a big disconnect between the manager and the players. You can see it whether they behave when they perform better or not, and it's something that we're going to we look forward to seeing what Chelsea is going to do about this disconnect that we've seen from the time Sarri came in to now. Yeah. But kudos to Chelsea and Arsenal, and kudos to Spurs and Liverpool. Yep. We're looking forward to proper English team finals. Yep, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. And into the Kenya Cup finals. Yes. This weekend. Yes. Rugby goes into the semi-finals. Yes. Just tell us more about what to expect this weekend.
Well, so the Kenya Cup semi-finals, we have Cabras taking on Mwamba. That's going to be at the Kakamega Showgrounds, and of course we have KCB hosting KCB hosting Kenya Harlequins at the Lions Den. Of course, 3 of those teams featured last week. We had Kenya Harlequins losing to Cabras, or being walloped by Cabras 54-11. Yes. And we had KCB losing out to Impala, which was a shocker. They lost 11-10. Now, in the semi-finals, it's going to be an interesting matchup. Cabras versus Mwamba seems to be a foregone conclusion for very many guys because Cabras have been very fantastic throughout this season. But look, it's knockout rugby and knockout sports. You can never predict. It's who shows up on the day.
Absolutely.
For KCB versus Harlequins, of course, the odds favor KCB, taking into account that they've won both games, home and away, during the league. But again, to point out to what I said initially, it's knockout. And knockout sports, it's who shows up on the day. So it's fantastic rugby action. For those of you in Kakamega, of course, you can head to the Kakamega Showground. And for those guys who are going to be in Nairobi, the Lions Den is the place to be at to watch KCB versus Kenya Harlequins. So we go on to some good news, or balanced good news. bad news. You'll tell me what it is.
Yes.
So, Caster Semenya, we know that we had the DSD regulations, basically the athletes with sexual development regulations. IAAF set in some regulations. And what happened is that these regulations require people like Caster Semenya to take drugs that will suppress her testosterone levels. They say that her testosterone levels are higher than they should be for women. She appealed the decision, rather she took the decision to the Court of Arbitration of Sports, and in a very interesting decision, by the Court of Arbitration of Sports decided to rule in favor of the IAAF. Now, the question I ask, and I ask you of course, Alela, is she ended up performing excellent during the Doha IAAF Championships, and she finished #1. This is before, of course, it kicks in. It's before that's before, sorry, the rules kick in. It's very interesting, and you see the argument we had last week was, of course, touching on Usain Bolt, touching on Michael Phelps, and freaks of nature that they are. And I've had a recent argument that you see, well, Usain Bolt and Michael Phelps are male athletes competing in the male category. You have to question about whether Caster Semenya is a woman. Of course, in Kenya, we don't understand these things to do with transgender, but in the rest of the world, people talk about it. So what do you think Semenya's performance last week has to do, or what effect it has on her before these rules check in?
So the news this week was, or the term they've used, is sexual eugenics.
Yes.
Which means that the IAAF considers Semenya not to be woman enough, and that is why they have given her a green light to compete with the men without any restrictions, which is absurd if you ask me, which brings more drama into this whole Semenya issue. Now, her performance was great. She was very inspiring. She gave a very inspiring speech. She discounted rumors that she might be retiring, which is a good thing. Because for her to retire, it means then other athletes who look up to her with the same sexual difference development would have to go the same route. She's an exceptional athlete, and I think this argument is going to go on for months to come. There are so many different factions who do not agree on what's going on, but the end of the matter is she performed well in Doha. She inspires many other athletes, and let's wait and see what comes after this, because it's not a done deal. We are not done with, there's going to be an appeal. So we'll see what happens after that. Yeah, that's true. Yes. So, into some very interesting news. Tiger Woods was honored by the American president, President Trump. He was given the Medal of Freedom, which is the highest honor, civilian honor on the land. It means you have contributed positively to society and culture and life, the American life. Now, Tiger came from a very controversial few years, from back injuries to personal scandals, and this, as controversial as the president is, I think this is an amazing accolade or award to a very deserving athlete. What do you think?
Tiger Woods, first, like you say, it was a very controversial thing, by the way, because very many people feel that President Trump has been very controversial, and as such, Tiger Woods should not have accepted. But look, at the end of the day, he's the head of state, he's the commander-in-chief, he's whatever comes with the presidency. And if the president then wants to honor you and give you the highest honor, civilian honor, then I think it's only right as an American citizen to take it. We've had people, I mean, I think in President Obama's last year, he honored sports greats like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Michael Jordan. So it's only right that President Trump is indeed honoring Tiger Woods. Now, to Tiger Woods, the person. And first, there are 3 sportsmen who've hit the $1 billion mark. Number 1 is Michael Jordan, number 2 is Tiger Woods, number 3 is Floyd Mayweather. Number 2, and when you watch people talk about competitive sportsmen, there are 2 people they talk about. They talk about Michael Jordan, and they talk about Tiger Woods. So there was no doubt in anyone's mind, anyone who's watched Tiger Woods over the years, there was no doubt that Tiger Woods was going to come back. There was no doubt that Tiger Woods was going to ascend back to the top, to the mountain top. And the reason is because golf is a sport you can play for long. He's won the second highest number of majors after Jack Nicklaus, you know. So there was no doubt that he was going to return to the top.
But I think there's so many people who discounted Tiger, and who thought, you saw the interviews that came up after his after the Masters win, and there were so many Americans. Let's just start with Americans who believed that Tiger was done.
Yes.
And this is just one, like back to the comeback story. I think sports has this comeback thing that it's becoming the word of the season for different sports. I think this was a comeback that a lot of people did not believe was going to happen.
Everyone thought Tiger was done. I mean, even if you look at the American journalists who are commenting on this issue, everyone thought Tiger was done. But you know, it works two ways. Number one, for the sport, I mean, Tiger is the best person, is the best golfer we've seen in the last 20 years, number one. Number two, from a commercial standpoint, TV ratings go high when Tiger is playing. Ticket sales double when Tiger is playing. So even from a commercial standpoint for golf, it is very good when Tiger Woods is back in the winning ways. I know a group of Kenyans that follow Tiger. They go to the Open in Scotland, they go to Ryder Cup, wherever Tiger is playing, the Dubai Classic, just to watch Tiger play.
Yes.
So it's very good to see somebody who's as competitive as him getting back to the mountaintop. And look, I'm not, regardless of whether President Trump is controversial or not, I'm not going to comment in that. He does deserve the Presidential Medal of Freedom, sorry, I beg your pardon. And I mean, congratulations to Tiger Woods. So we move on to our next topic, where it's about, as I said last week, it's about the post-up, it's about perimeter shooting, it's about dunking, it's about blocks, it's about the NBA playoffs, which are in the conference semi-finals, or semi-finals as they say it in the States. So we have, in the Eastern Conference, the Milwaukee Bucks have already won that, by the way. They've beaten the Boston Celtics 4-1. Milwaukee Bucks averaging a 44.7 field goal percentage against a 31.2% field goal percentage for the Boston Celtics. Of course, them being superior there. They have a 31.93% their three-point percentage versus a 17.9% three-point percentage for the Celtics. Giannis Antetokounmpo has been the top one in that one, scoring 20 points. What's your take on that before I go on to the next games?
The Milwaukee Bucks, to me, for the playoffs, they looked like, and they still do, they look like they're going for the championship. Yeah. I think they're the most solid team we have now. They're the most stable team. The Celtics did well at the beginning, but the margins were very small. And when, you know, the Bucks were not letting anything to chance. And they look like they're really going for the championship. If you ask me, they're the most solid team now in the playoffs.
And it's good to know that they actually did finish top of the Eastern Conference. The other team in the Eastern, or the other matchup in the Eastern Conference is your Toronto Raptors versus the Philadelphia 76ers, of course. Toronto Raptors star player Kawhi Leonard knocking or clocking 29 points in Game 6. We have Joel Embiid, who has problems with his health whenever he cannot play long into, you know, knockout or postseason, and that's always a problem for Philadelphia 76ers. You don't have your star player playing in the postseason, then you guys are going to be having problems. So last week when we were here, 76ers were leading 2-1. Now it's equal 3-3 with one game to go. How do you think it's going to go? I
mean, the Game 7 goes to Toronto.
Yes.
And I feel very confident about that, because when you go to Toronto, the atmosphere in Toronto alone is enough for the team. Game 7 it's either you take it or you go home. Yeah, the 76ers are in for drama, and it's going to be a very exciting game. The last game in Toronto, the last game in Toronto had enough fair share of drama. But this one, Game 7, the do or die game, is going to be absolutely amazing. Yesterday was a bit heartbreaking, but we go into Game 7 and we see how everything pans out. It's
going to be interesting in the Eastern Conference. We head to the Western Conference, where we have, I'd like to focus on the defending champions last. So we have the Denver Nuggets, tied currently with the Portland Trail Blazers, sorry, I beg your pardon. The person who's leading, or the person who led in scoring points in Game 6 was Damian Lillard, point guard for Portland Trail Blazers, 32 points. How do you think that is going to end?
This is very hard to tell.
Yeah.
These are two teams who've been playing very calm. They've been doing the business, doing it well and quietly, without all the playoffs drama. This one I cannot call for sure. This one I cannot call. Yeah, but I would give it to I would go with the Nuggets for this one.
One good thing about the Nuggets is we've seen them return to playoff basketball after a very long time, and the rise of their star Nikola Jokic, which has been very good for the Denver Nuggets. However, CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard, I think they're just going to be too strong for the Denver Nuggets come Game 7. And to the last game, we have the defending champions, the Golden State Warriors, leading the Houston Rockets 3-2. James Harden, Game 5, drops 31 points, but you have a Golden State Warriors team in which Klay Thompson 27 points, I think Steph Curry 22 points, Kevin Durant 25 points. You have 3 of your starting 5 knocking 20 and above. So clearly we are being shown that James Harden can't carry the Rockets alone. What's your thought on what are your thoughts about that game and how it's going to end up?
This is I think it's the most exciting game coming.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant is hurt.
Yes.
He has an injury.
Yeah.
So he's not going to play.
Yes.
So it comes down to Steph Curry and Thompson to carry the team.
Yeah.
The other side, Harden has been hard the whole playoff season, the whole playoff period.
Yeah.
They are not going to let anything go.
Yeah.
This is the game.
Yeah.
It's on Sunday, no?
Yes, it is.
Is it Sunday or today?
Actually, sorry, I beg your pardon. It's today.
It's today.
Yeah. Tomorrow, i.e.
Tomorrow.
Yes.
So GSW will have to really fight for this one.
Yes.
Because I mean, their carrier or the captain of the ship is not there.
Yes.
So I don't know how this one is going to go, but if you ask me, it's going to be a tough one.
Yeah.
It's going to be the eyeballs on this game are going to be huge.
Yes.
Because Harden is out.
Yeah.
What's left of Golden State Warriors?
Yes.
Now Steph Curry and Thompson have to really show up to this game.
Yeah,
yes.
It's going to be a very interesting one, like you say. Kevin Durant has been the standout player for the Golden State Warriors in the last 2 years. He's the back-to-back NBA Finals MVP. You leave out Kevin Durant. My thoughts is that, look, you still have a strong enough squad. You have guys on the bench like Sean Livingston, but you still have the likes of Draymond Green, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, as you say.
Yeah.
I think Andre Iguodala, the 2015
And
MVP.
remember, Chris Paul and James Harden are looking to make an impact with this game in particular.
They are looking to make
This is the game of their careers, actually.
They are looking to make an impact, but in my opinion, I think you can get Klay Thompson on Chris Paul, or even James Harden from a defensive standpoint, and then Draymond Green on one of them. It's going to be an interesting game, no doubt. It's going to be an interesting game.
That's a game we're very looking forward to, for sure.
Exactly. It's going to be an interesting game. The NBA Conference semifinals are going on. The only guys who are assured, of course, is the Eastern Conference champions, that is, leaders, that is the Milwaukee Bucks. We take a short break. When we're back, we'll be having a very hot interview, so don't leave. Welcome back to the Metropol Sports Center, the first of its kind to occupy the primetime segment in Kenya. Now we go straight into our interview. I'll be short so that we can get straight into an interview and interview this guy, because he has a lot of knowledge to give us. This guy, he's the former Secretary General of Gor Mahia Football Club. That is the most popular club in East and Central Africa. If you ask me, it's a club that has the highest following in Kenya in all sports. He's also a top football agent, and he'll be telling us a bit about that. So my guest today is Mr. George Bwana. George, karibu Metropol Sports Center.
Thank you so much, Ingaro, for decorating me with very kind words. I like the fact that you said that Gor Mahia is the most popular club in all sports.
But it is.
But we play majorly football.
That's true.
Football, but if you say all sports.
It's all sports.
Who am I to say?
It's all sports, and the most popular team in all sports.
The world's most popular sport.
Fair enough.
Soccer.
And thank you for calling it football and not soccer.
Football.
Anyway, we get straight into
soccer
it.
Is too American.
It's too American. That's true. We get straight into it, George. You were Secretary General of Gor Mahia Football Club at a time when Gor Mahia had a very huge following. They were performing well in the league. You were attractive to corporate sponsors. And the Kenya Premier League in general was very attractive for corporate sponsors. It was very entertaining. Guys were going to stadiums to watch this game. Now, a few years later, and that's not the case. And not just at Gor Mahia, but throughout the Kenya Premier League. We have teams now that are handing walkovers because they cannot afford to honor their matches. We have very many issues in the Kenya Premier League that show that the game has retrogressed in the last few years. What's your take on that?
A bit of correction, Garwa.
Yes.
I came in, I got elected in 2011. And 2011, there were not too many teams in Kenya that had sponsorship. As a matter of fact, I think it was only Gor Mahia that had a sponsor in Tuzo, the Brookside Dairy company, the product being Tuzo at the time. That is because the football itself was not attractive to sponsorship, to corporate sponsors. Interestingly, and very ironical that the world's most popular sport and the country's most popular sport, we're a sporting nation, but football is still our most popular sport. The most popular sport in this country had no interest was not interesting to the corporate world. At that time, for many reasons, the management was not proper. There were very many factors that didn't really interest the corporates to want to be associated with the sports. In fact, as a matter of fact, I think the then dairy company took a risk to want to sponsor Gor, and I want to congratulate them for that, because that has since attracted, attracted many other corporates to want to show interest in sponsoring the game. If I was to continue, you ask me why sponsorship has diminished.
Yes.
It's a combination of factors. I think we still have a major problem in this country with number one, the government doesn't show interest in the game. In every country where any sport is going to thrive, the government must show the lead by showing interest in whatever sport it is. Unfortunately, I have to sit here and report that I don't think our government is doing enough to support sports generally, and particularly football. Football is $1 million income earning for any economy. Our government just has no clue how much they're losing out by not showing enough interest in sponsoring the game. Number two, management. Unfortunately, the people who have been previously involved with managing the sport, football, have not. Football has previously been used as a stepping stone to politics. Sorry to name names, but most guys who have been associated with the management of the sport have ended up in politics.
Yes, that's true.
And that has set a precedence that if you want to run for elective position, you have to use sports, football particularly. And that's sending a very bad signal to the country. I mean, from the late Matiba meant well. He did very well, fantastically well. Peter Kenneth, and the people who came before, Alfred Sambu, and many others who came before them. And unfortunately, the guys who came after them thought that because of that precedence, Jobo Mino, for instance, did a fantastic job with Gor Mahia. Samuel Bingo. But guys came after that and thought, you know what, we can actually use football as a stepping stone to politics. And that is a major factor why our football has continued lagging behind.
Wow. You say that and I laugh because it's actually yesterday I was at a conference where the exact same words you've just said were echoed, that football is being used, or sports in Kenya is being used, or the guys who are running for political positions or the management positions or the leadership positions in sports in this country are being used, are using these positions as a platform to get into politics later on. And before we go on, in that conference, we had a guest by the name Professor Jorge de Dios Crespo. This guy, his client list, I mean, he's the top sports lawyer in the world. His client list is the FIFA Hall of Fame. I just want to listen to what he has to say. I want you to listen to what he has to say about the management of sports in general.
to help the sport. I just heard now that there was a case with the tennis, women tennis federation, and they won championship of Davis Cup, and the rules were changed by the ITF, and they were not finally challenged before CAF. So they need help from the government. They need help in order to improve this case and other cases. I see that also one of the athletes had been sanctioned by IAF, and then he didn't go to CAF. Why? Because he said that he has no money. But you have to support your athletes. And the guy was a champion, so you need to support your athletes. This is the first thing you have to say to the government here and to the bodies of school. Support your athletes. I mean, for the athletes individually, there's the image rights. And for the organizer, is the TV rights and also the sponsoring of the championship. These are the aspects that they have to manage, because without the money, there's no possibility to improve in sports. So the commercial aspect is fundamental. TV rights, sponsoring, and for the individual athletes, also their own image rights.
Professor Jorge de Dios Crespo, like I told you guys, this guy's client list is the FIFA Hall of Fame. You have heard what he has to say about management, and my guest today, George Warner, has echoed some of the things that he had to say about management of the sport, and the sport we're talking about particularly is football. On to our next point, George, and you're a football agent. Talent in this country, and I'll quote something I had a long time ago. I was having a discussion with somebody, one of the foreigners in Kenya, and he was telling me about a conversation he was having with the then Gor Mahia coach. I cannot remember who it was, but the Gor Mahia coach was telling him that the amount of talent that is in this country is ridiculous in football. He sort of compared us to, I don't know if he was exaggerating, but he sort of compared us to Brazil in terms of the raw talent we have in football in this country. What do you think about the talent? What do you feel about the talent in this country, and how do you think we should nurture it to make sure that we produce quality players? Right now, we don't have too many guys playing in the foreign leagues. I mean, we only have Victor Wanyama, kudos to him, who's in the English Premier League. We have Michael Olunga in Spain. What do you think we should do to the talent that's in this country to make sure that we produce quality, top-notch talent? We rival the likes of Ivory Coast, guys playing in Europe.
I tell you what, Ngaro, it's not by coincidence that of the two teams that have made it to the UEFA Champions League, two players from either side, from both sides, have their roots in Kenya. Wanyama and Origi.
Yes.
We all know that Origi is Kenya, much as he is playing for Belgium.
Yes,
he is Kenya. His parents are Kenyan. They
yes.
play for Kenya.
Yes.
Maybe I think with time he'll get,
Michael
now that our constitution allows dual citizenship.
Yes.
he should apply for one.
That's true.
And if football laws allow,
yes.
maybe he should represent us. Unfortunately, football laws don't.
Yeah.
There's enormous talent out here. There's enormous talent out here. If you travel, if you go to Eastlands today, just take your car, take a matatu to Eastlands, pass, Amsa, go to Jericho, go to Umoja, go to Kayole, and just make several stops, and you'll be amazed how much talent there is. Compare the same, do the same to Africa. I mean, other African countries. I'm lucky to have traveled Africa and maybe parts of the world, and I see talent in pursuit of talent, and I can compare confidently what we have vis-a-vis what those guys have there.
Yes.
What we lack here is the opportunity. Our boys don't get opportunity. We have enormous talent in this country. Origi was lucky because his father went through the troubles that we are talking about. So he decided his son is not going to go through the same thing. He got the opportunities, and he took his son to academies and exposed him to the kind of facilities that our players, given the opportunity, will even do better than Origi. You saw what Origi was able to do for Liverpool the other day. So the point is, we have enormous talent in this country. What is lacking is how to nurture that talent. We do not have a proper system and program of talent nurturing. In other countries, developed countries, if you go to England today, they probably know who's going to represent England in 2030 in football, who's going to be the next Harry Kane. They know. They have the academies all over England. Young boys, 15, they start nurturing talent. They encourage parents to bring their kids to centers And they have scouts all over the country, traversing the country, and they have a system of also knowing the English players outside of England, some of whom might want to play for France, other countries like France, but the English wouldn't allow that to happen. We don't have the same system. So the thing is, we need to invest in structures, put structures in place. Number one, we have to invest in academies. We started well. I think this particular government came up with something like a talent search program. I don't know how far that has gone. We are coming up with something called sports lottery. I want to believe that when it's up and running, one of the things, the areas they're going to focus on is talent search, because we have a lot of talent that gets wasted out there, because football talent must be nurtured at the right time. If you don't get a player into the right academy at the right age, the age of 14, 15, 12, by 18, and you know what, that's why you end up with age cheating. Because the players want to fight for the same opportunities with a guy who was nurtured at the right time. Is going to be forced to cheat and say and claim that he's 21 when we all know he's 35.
And you know, it's good. You've just said something that has triggered an interview I watched maybe about 5, 6, 7 years ago, and it was an interview Arsene Wenger gave, and he was saying something about nurturing of talent, and he was saying if by 16 a player does not understand the technical part of football, forget about ever thinking about football.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Some might be lucky, but out of 100, you might be lucky to have one get. Victor Wanyama was lucky.
Yes.
Victor never got football education, but because at that age, that is when a player gets to understand the tactics. The coaches will instill in him the tactical discipline. When the coach says we're playing this kind of formation, he understands what the coach is talking about. If the player is talented, yes, he knows how to kick the ball. He's got the physical presence, but he has to listen to the coach's tactical approach to the game. Now, that can only be instilled in a player at a certain age. Beyond 14, 15, you're done.
This is somewhere when I'm trying to be good and trying to work out, where I normally go to work out, there's a football pitch there. And someone Gong Road, and you normally see, I normally see kids there training, you know, and understanding the technical part of football, as you're saying. I only wish the game can be attractive when they get to that 15, 16 years, so that they can follow and choose to follow a career of football. I'll move over to something similar, and the Sports Act of 2013 provides for a Kenya Academy of Sports. Do you think this will help, if effected properly? Do you think it's going to help in nurturing the talent?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a step toward a very good direction. I mean, the right direction, if well followed through. The unfortunate thing with this country of ours is that corruption will begin to creep in. If we're not well managed. People whose kids are not well talented, with money will begin to get their kids there because they want, you know, I want Ngarwa's kid to get there because Ngarwa is my friend. Now, if that's going to be the situation, then we are still not going to get it right.
That's true. That's true. And it boils down to what you're saying initially. Point number one, management. On to our next point. English Premier League versus Serie A. 10, 15 years ago, English Premier League, Serie A at par. When you go to the Serie A, you have the likes of Andriy Shevchenko, Paolo Maldini, Andrea Pirlo, you know, Gennaro Gattuso. You go to the English Premier League, that was the era of the Thierry Henrys, Patrick Vieira, David Beckham before he moved to Real Madrid. So they were at par. But now there's a very big disparity between the English Premier League and the Serie A. English Premier League is actually the most watched league in the world. What do you think English Premier League have done right? And I'll take that question further. What do you think the Kenya Premier League needs to copy from the Western leagues, specifically the English Premier League, to make it sure that it grows, you know, at that rate?
It takes us back to what I said earlier. Proper planning. The English realized that their football was lagging behind, and that's what they are made of. As a matter of fact, there's a joke in England. They call them 2 World War and 1 World Cup, 1966. You've heard about the joke, 2 World War and 1 World Cup. Only 1 World Cup.
Yes, and it's the Germans who really push it. But anyway.
Can you imagine? Now, the English, that really pained them.
Yes.
And they said, you know what? We cannot be the laughing stock forever. We've got to do something about it. And what did they do? The English packaged the game. They packaged the game. They invested in the game. The corporates came on board. You know, they package it to make it attractive to sponsorship, to attractive to players, top players. Today, every top player in the world wants to play in the English Premier League for various reasons. Number one, the money. Money is good. The deals, sponsorship deals, endorsements are there. TV rights. Players are making so much money if you're playing for English Premier League. Look, it should surprise you. Why? Look, today, this year, we have 4 English Premier Leagues. Premier League sides making it to the topmost leagues in Europe.
In Europe, yes.
The same, that was your question.
Yes.
The same could not be said 4 or 5 years ago.
True.
The English invested in the game.
Yes.
They put in money.
Yes.
If you want to succeed, you must put in money. You must invest.
Yes.
You're not going to succeed as a Metro Sport Center if you don't put in money. I'm sure there's a huge investment that has gone into having this studio running and engaging people like us to be able to come and commit our time here.
True. That's true. And you know, I like what you say, investing in the sport, because if you look at the English Premier League, the division of revenue just from TV rights alone, it's a hell lot of money. You know, I think about the first person last year, you know, making about 5 billion shillings from TV rights. And I think I'm answering my own question, because I know it can happen.
You are. Look at the last World Cup, 2018 World Cup.
Yeah.
Iceland, a country of 335 and 87 people, made it to the World Cup.
Yes.
300 and 587 people. Maybe the 87 people are the ones who made the team.
Yes.
Not even half of it, maybe.
Yes.
A team is probably made up plus the management.
Yes.
It's about 56, 57 people.
Yes.
They made the World Cup. A country of 52 people.
Yes.
Kenya.
Yes.
And a sporting nation.
Yes.
Because we are athletes by nature.
Yes.
We can do it.
Yes.
If you get it right. The things we are not doing right is basically management. We are so corrupt.
Yes.
Look at the corruption cases. I was shocked that about 80
KRA officers. Yes.
Officers have been arrested for corruption.
Yes.
Can you imagine if you can be able to crack the whip on such characters?
Yes.
We'll get it right. And any other character who is corrupt, we'll get it right.
That's true.
In that aspect. And because sports is a major income earning for any economy.
For any economy. And just tying into the tax issue that you're mentioning, and I hope the government is listening, if you invest in sports then becomes a very big earner for the economy, because you increase your tax base. I hope the government is listening to that. Very quickly, very quickly, our last point. How do we make the KPL attractive for sponsors? We
must package our brand.
Yes.
We must brand KPL, Kenya Premier League. Today, Kenya Premier League only has one sponsor in a betting company that I won't mention. Yeah, and that has been going on over the years. Before that, we had a beer company, which had done it over the years.
Yes.
A league should have more than even 5 sponsors. We need to package ourselves. We need to package the brand. And packaging the brand is not a hard thing to do.
Yes.
Really. Yes. I think we've made strides over the years. From 2005, when they formed the Kenyan Premier League, unfortunately we make 2 steps forward and then we make another 1 back. So, but we need to do better. We need to brand the product, make it attractive to corporates who want to be associated with it. We need to deal with very small things. Bring all corporates on board. And most importantly, the government must show interest. FIFA stands for non-interference by government into the game. But FIFA also knows what is positive interference. Positive interference, the government obviously knows. They'll have a problem where a government decides so-and-so is going to be president of the federation. But FIFA will never have a problem if they say so-and-so, George Bwana is not going to be president because he's corrupt. We put you in, we lock you up. And then allow the members to elect another non-corrupt official. That's okay.
George Bwana, thank you very much for a very insightful interview about the state of football in Kenya and what we need to do and how we need to package it to make it a $1 billion industry the way it's a £1 billion or $1 billion industry in the West. Asante sana kwa kuja Metropol Sports Center.
Thank you so much, Narwa, for having me.
You've heard it from Mr. George Bwana. I've told you, former Secretary General, Gor Mahia, the biggest club in Eastern Central Africa, the most popular club in any sport in Kenya. George Bwana, football agent, very A1 football agent.
Wow.
We take a small break. When we get back, we'll be having the Money Ref with Mr. Nahashon Owano.
Good evening to you, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Sports Center. My name is Nashon Owano. I'm going to be taking you through the Money Ref today. Now, on today's episode of Money Ref, we're going to be talking about the English Premier League. We're going to be talking about the Champions League. And finally, we're going to be taking a financial look onto the Caf Confederations Cup. So in this segment, I'm going to give you the numbers, how much the teams are going to get towards the end of this league. Speaking of the end of the league, the English Premier League is coming to an end this coming weekend. And my ranking today is based on the amount of money that they're going to get based on the positions that they are right now. So as we speak right now, the position earnings according to the statistics of the 2017-2018 2017-2018 season, the number is such that the first position is going to get 38.4 million pounds. Then the second person in the league is going to get 36.5, I beg your pardon. And the third person is going to take 34.6 million pounds. The fourth person is going to take 32.6 million pounds. So if you notice, there is a difference of around 2 point something, approximately 2 million pounds difference between each preceding number. So if the league was to end today, not putting into considerations the games that are going to be played this coming weekend, then Man City is going to take that 38.4 million because they currently hold the first position with a total of 94 points. Liverpool is on second position and has 94 points, and then Chelsea is at position 3 with 71 points. So if we translate all that money, for example, the first position, that is 38.4 million shillings, if you transfer it into 38.4 million pounds, I beg your pardon, translate it into Kenya shillings, that comes to around approximately 5 billion shillings. The second team takes home 4.8 billion and the third team takes 4.5 billion. So from what I had mentioned earlier, you'll notice that there's a difference of around 2 million pounds between each preceding team. On to the Champions League, which witnessed one of the best comebacks I've ever seen. It was, I think, the week of comebacks. Liverpool were able to pull a comeback against Barcelona. Nobody expected that. And then Tottenham also were able to pull a comeback against Ajax. So based on the rankings, based on the final money that they're going to get at the end of the Champions League, which is going to be on the 1st June 2019, if you're in Kenya, then the Kenyan time is at 2 p.m. The final venue of the match between Liverpool and Tottenham Hotspurs is going to be at Wanda Metropolitano in Madrid. So based on that fact that Liverpool and Tottenham are already into the final, then they're each going to get 12.9 million pounds, which if you translate to Kenyan shillings is going to be around 1.7 billion shillings. So assuming that you're a Liverpool fan, then they win the final game on the 1st of June, then they are going to take home approximately 2.16 billion shillings. That goes across the team that is going to carry the cup at the end of the competition. We quickly take a look at the Caf Confederations Cup. On the Caf Confederations Cup, the champions get around $2.5 million. If you translate it into Kenya shillings, that's around 255 million shillings. So there's a ranking that is given according to how teams go on to the segment. There's the group stage number 4, group stage number 3, quarterfinals, semifinals, runners-up, and then the champions. So from this, the semifinalists are going to get around, if you're able to reach the semifinals, that's around $800,000. That's like 82 million shillings. I guess that's the final. That wraps up our final segment of MoneyRef. Ngarua and Sharon are coming back with Events Watch. Keep on watching. This is Metropol TV. My name is Nation Owanu.
Welcome back to the Metropol Sports Center on Metropol TV. Just to wrap up our show, we go to the Events Watch, the events that will be happening this weekend. Over to you, Sharon.
Yeah, the Kenya Premier League action resumes this Saturday with Posta Rangers taking on Vihiga United, Sony taking on AFC Leopards, Homeboys taking on Stima, Mathare United taking on Mount Kenya United, Tusker taking on Zoea Sugar, and Gor Mahia taking on Sofapaka.
Over to the Kenya Cup. We're in the semi-final stage. Kenya Cup, that's of course the flagship league for the Kenya rugby scene. We're going to be having Cabras Sugar IFC hosting Mwamba at the Kakamega Showground. And of course, at the Lions Den, we're going to be having KCB taking on Kenya Harlequins. So if you don't have anything to do, either head on to the Kakamega Showground or head on to the KCB Lion Den for some rugby action.
Now, for the English Premier League, it's a bit tricky for us who want to watch all the games because all the games are being aired at the same time at 5 o'clock Kenyan time.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing we'll have to go to a place that has probably 2 or 3 screens.
Yeah.
One eye will be looking at Liverpool, the other eye will be looking at Man City.
Yeah.
Now, the action, 5 o'clock on Sunday, Brighton takes on Manchester City, Burnley takes on Arsenal, Crystal Palace, Bournemouth, Fulham takes on Newcastle, Spurs takes on Everton, and Watford takes on West Ham. Now, the biggest games are, of course, the race for the title, which is means the English Premier League comes to an end this weekend. It's a big, big day. It's a big day for global football, and make sure to catch all that action because this weekend we're going to know who is the title champion.
Yeah, who's the English Premier League champion. And of course, to those guys who love their toys, it's going to be the Formula One, the Barcelona Grand Prix happening in Spain. Will it be Valtteri Bottas taking it tops? Will it be Lewis Hamilton, 5-time world champion? Or will Sebastian Vettel just sneak in? Or maybe Charles Leclerc? That's your Events Watch. That has been the Metropol Sports Center, the first of its kind to occupy the primetime segment in Kenya. Join us next week for more sporting action. I am Ngaro Kamuya.
And I'm Sharon Alela.
See you next week.
Have a lovely night.